This week's word of the week is Dīdiào, which means low key. So, the opposite would be Gao Diao, as in flamboyant or excessive or high profile. So, this is a particularly useful and important word for the culture of business in China. If you ever work for a Chinese company, it is probably advisable to be Dīdiào, as is explained in this essay here, which I'll take you through some clips of. So in 2013, Dong Mingzhu, this lady here, often described as China's most successful businesswoman and one-time Forbes Asian Businessman of the Year, Lei Juan, this guy here, had a 1 billion RMB bet on national television about the future progress of their businesses. Gambling is illegal in China. However, which is interesting into some of the colourful characters you get in the Chinese business world, but these characters with their deluxe-sized personalities form the minority among China's wealthiest people, since it is so easy to fall foul of the People's Republic's labyrinthine laws on bribery, insider trading and other white-collar crimes. Going from the Forbes rich list to jail is practically an escalator. For that reason, most of China's billionaires recognize the value of being Dīdiào, or low-key. And it's not just fields like business, politics is another field. You may have heard the story of Bo Xilai, who ran a high-profile anti-corruption campaign in Chongqing, and in 2012 was arrested and sentenced to life in prison for corruption, bribery and abuse of power. And his wife, Gu Kailai, was jailed for murdering the Englishman Neil Heywood. So some of the underlying cultural reasons as to why being Dīdiào is so advisable in Chinese business. So in Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking by author Susan Cain, she praises East Asian cultures for not fetishizing extroversion. She states that in the West we claim to encourage individuality, but really that is only one type of individual, the one who is alpha, gregarious and comfortable in the spotlight. Reasons why China is the way it is go back thousands of years. In ancient China, fertile plains and rivers lent themselves to rice farming and compelled people to cultivate the land in concert with one another. By contrast, the ancient Greeks, who lived amid mountains and coastlines, relied on herding, trading and fishing, and they were able to be more independent. In that history, psychologist Richard Nisbet saw the making of Greek ideas about personal freedom, individuality and objective thought. In Selfie, How the West Became Self-Obsessed, journalist Will Storr cites this history as the founding influence of Confucianism. The ancient sage Confucius created an ideology that emphasized harmony, collectivism, and filial piety. In the mid-20th century, Confucianism gave way to communism, because China is a communist country, at least nominally, as the dominant ideology. Both communism and Confucianism have in common the belief in the expression, nobody likes a show-off. So another way of describing the value of Dīdiào is simply the English expression, the nail that sticks out gets hit. As Confucius constantly reminded us, modesty is not just polite, it is smart. And it is encouraged in Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the most popular self-help books of all time. And in his book, Osnos, in his book, The Age of Ambition, Evan Osnos, who was the former New Yorker correspondent, quoted this Chinese doctor. Let your public self be like rice in a dinner, bland and inconspicuous, taking on the flavors of its surroundings while giving off no flavor of its own. So let's take one last look at the word Dīdiào, low key, which is to be encouraged.